Hey everyone, Mr. Happy here, and in this video we're going to be going over some bonus news coming out of the European Fan Festival. So every fan festival, Yoshi P does what's called a media sit-in, or a press conference, where a bunch of media outlets get together, ask them a collective Q&A, and then all report on the same thing in the end. Now normally we usually have to wait a few days for these things to get posted. However, Gamer Escape is present at the event, and they transcribe the entire thing live to get it to us ASAP. So first of all, go to the description of the video, go to Gamer Escape's websites, comment, like, give them hits, whatever it is, but be sure to show their website support since I am basically leeching the news off their websites. You guys know what the right thing to do is. But anyway, this press conference has a few interesting things that I felt like I needed to share immediately, so let's get right to it. After thanking people for attending the event, as you can see, they start talking about all of the different fan festivals. But there are some very important things here that we have to talk about. So let's see. David from Atomics in Mexico. After this third event, what experience have you gotten from meeting fans? They always love meeting the fans, but it's for the dev team too. It motivates them. Okay, that's a pretty nice answer. Nova Chrysalis is there, and they asked, lots of new expansion areas have been connected to Japanese culture. How important is it to have areas that reflect your own culture? Is there extra pressure when developing these areas? So they talk about when developing the new areas out in Author, the Far East, and they definitely want to create something along the lines of Japan and definitely pay a lot of homage to it. Edo period, post-Edo, pre-Edo, etc., etc. When they designed them, they melded all the different ideas that they have from Far East culture and tried to make something that was unique while definitely making callbacks to original Japanese culture. And keep in mind, when you talk about Doma and Hingashi, since they are not both the same thing, they are two different regions, two different countries with Hingashi on the island and Doma on the continent, you have to keep these things in mind that they are still going to have some cultural differences between the two. Morgan, somebody named Morgan, this time there will only be 2 jobs. Is there any chance for a new job in the 4.x patches? A very popular question considering both the jobs that were revealed were DPS. Yoshida says currently there are no plans for a 3rd job. Of course, there are a lot of people, myself included, who are looking forward to new jobs. Creating an unbalanced job or ruin existing balance is something we don't want to do. We'll revamp the system in 4.0, balance it, then we'll make another job. Now that leaves a lot to be that's a pretty confusing statement, because he says there are no plans for a 3rd job, which we already knew, they already confirmed that. But then he says they'll revamp 4.0, balance it, and maybe we'll make another job. What he's basically saying is after they see how balanced the game is in 4.0, they are considering the potential to make another in-between expansion job, which goes against the philosophy where they said earlier, where it was so incredibly stressful to do that, they never wanted to do it again. Maybe they're feeling a little bit more comfortable with the development process at this point, but odds of there being solid enough balance between 15 jobs when 4.0 releases, so much so to the point where they can actually go ahead and develop an entirely new job within that 1-year time frame, I'm going to say the odds are unlikely, but it's good to know that they are at least somewhat open-minded to the idea. Twitch streamer. Just Twitch streamer. Will there be more crossover functionality in the future like link shells and the friends list? In fact, the dev team is currently working on a cross-world friends list. We saw the cross-world blacklist. A cross-world friends list is currently being worked on as well, but it probably won't make it for 4.0 itself. The rest of the stuff is on the table, but there's no timetable for it, but they are going to be doing other sort of crossover functionality things in the future. Endgames asked, is your samurai costume comfortable? Okay, not a super important question for the expansion, but he said it was a very comfortable outfit. And he might just wear it to help inspire his team. You know, get it done faster, get it done faster. But they're probably going to get angry that he's goofing off. Reddit asked, we saw implementation of Grand Company platoons. Will those NPCs be available in other content? The plan for this is already finished, and we're working on the AI for the platoon. As most of the staff is currently working on 4.0 content, though, it's on the back burner. Once 4.0 is out, it'll be soon after release. So this is the ability to bring your Grand Company platoon into dungeons with you. Something they said would release in a very limited fashion, sometime in the future. Looks like we won't see that till after 4.0 actually launches. EGS Gamer UK asked, what are priorities for future fan festivals? What are key lessons you'd use here for a future one? Well, we still have day 2, so they haven't learned everything. We've been spending the last few days preparing, working with the great team here. We learned a lot and have a great first day, but we have to think about day 2 first, before they worry about another fan festival. Our next goal is to make our CEO say it's okay to do another fan fest. I sure hope the CEO says that. Nicholas from French Final Fantasy site. Something about Olivigo and Doma. It's very hard to do all these questions back to back. No one's putting these on a screen for these guys. What we don't want players to forget is we've shown a lot of interesting area in Olivigo. So basically, it sounds like the question was probably, with Authored being announced, it seems like Olivigo kind of took a back seat, which is how I felt when I was watching today's fan festival as well. 50% of 4.0 content will occur in Olivigo, and 50% of it will take place in Authored. So that should give you guys a rough idea of the content for 4.0 and where it's going to take place, especially after the very Far Eastern themed day we had for the first day of the European Fan Festival. DualShockers decided to ask, since we're leaving the PS3 and can expand upwards with the specs, will we be patching for PS4 Pro support? I think they asked this just recently, didn't they? Rather than using PS4 Pro's power to adapt to 4K display, they want to use it for game performance itself. They're working on a Pro patch, and they'll have details on it soon. I've mentioned this before with Xbox One inquiries. I want the game no matter to be on as many platforms as possible. One condition we have is that we can continue cross-world matching going. That's a call out to you again, Xbox. You gotta relent. If you want Final Fantasy XIV, you gotta relent on that one little rule that you have. If we can clear that, then a version on the Switch is something we consider. Man, I'm amazed nobody tweeted that at me, because that is the first time I've actually read that, and I've had a lot of this interview tweeted at me piece by piece. So something they'd consider, which makes sense considering how popular mobile gaming is in Japan. I expect the Switch to be huge in Japan, so I honestly wouldn't be too shocked. James from a magazine. With the addition of swimming, do you see Blitzball in the future of Final Fantasy XIV? This is one of the things that I had tweeted at me most often. To be honest, yes, we have plans. Maybe. He says maybe. So maybe they won't do it. The thing is, we've run into a few problems. The opinion that if we released it the same as Final Fantasy X, players are going to lose interest quickly. A fair assessment I've made as well. Then on the team, we had the idea of, okay, because we're an MMO, let's make something that fits with the style of the game we have. Something they did for Chocobo Racing, by the way. However, if we do that, then we're going away from the Blitzball people know and expect. We're trying to find a good mix of both sides. Because we have swimming and diving, it's natural to get that in the game. I've said they were going to do it. Swimming, it just seemed to me the same deal, like it was a natural progression of the game, and I've totally expected it, as much as I'm not somebody who personally wants to see it in the game. But if they're going to do it, as long as it doesn't hinder the progression of other forms of content to be introduced, like I don't want to lose another expert dungeon. I don't want to go down to one expert dungeon because they decided we needed Blitzball in the game. You know what I mean? So we'll see where they go, because that's a very legitimate concern. That's something that caused issues with Triple Triad. That's something that caused issues with Chocobo Racing, and I could totally foresee their thought process on that leading to problems in Blitzball as well. JP question, there's been talk about introducing a quick leveling potion, and I'd like more details. This is something we're still debating. We can't say anything now, but they hope to have an announcement soon during a live letter. Probably not tomorrow's live letter, unless he means tomorrow during the live letter. He doesn't say it, but maybe he means it. There's also going to be live letters March, April, May, June, all leading up to the expansion. So there's plenty of news and plenty of time for us to get news about the jump potion. German live streaming musician, can you tell us about what's planned for the battle system revamp? Very, very good question, because we've heard nothing about it. However, it seems that what they told us at NA is still along the lines of their current plans. And he reiterates it exactly as I've been doing for months now. It is not a ground up rework of the combat system. We're not going to be rebuilding it from the ground up. It says it word for word. We're concentrating on two things during this revamp, and I could tell you what these things are without even reading it at this point. During 3.x, the action rotation for high DPS became very complex, and it created a gap in skill that was far too wide. So they want to bring that gap down a little bit more. They want to bring the bottom up specifically. The people who are the best are still going to be doing damn good DPS, but they want to bring the bottom up, is what they're saying. The second thing is, with 14 players using controllers, the increase in action is hard for them to use all the actions available. I want to point out that's not just a controller problem. I honestly have an easier time fitting certain skills onto my hotbar on controller. Maybe that's just me, but that's not just a controller problem, Yoshi P. There aren't enough ways to use these actions, so they're cutting the number of unused actions and combining similar actions to make the level 70 action number the same number of actions we have in the game now. So that is a very explicit sort of detail that can give you an idea of what your hotbars will look like in the expansion, the same, but with different skills laid out all around. I have my own thoughts on that and what they could do, but that's for another video. Currently, with a lot of jobs, it's clear that jobs have to monitor a lot of buff icons. So we want to create job-specific UIs to alleviate that and make monitoring those things easier. We're going to balance, adjust, tweak, and refine this UI right up to release, so we probably can't show you anything until May. April, May is when we're expecting far more information about skills, the skill video, the new job skill video, and a whole bunch of other information to be coming out. So please look forward to it. Gamer Escape, hey, that's you guys. We've seen Doma in one of the new areas, but we haven't seen Alamigo proper. Will players be able to go there? Will it be a field area? An instance? He says before you can know that, you're going to first have to liberate Alamigo before you can even know that. They said they have something unique in store for us that takes advantage of the MMO genre. So you know what that sounds like to me? That almost sounds like a 24-man instance. If it takes use of the MMO genre, that tells me that it is a very multiplayer-esque thing where a bunch of players will come together to liberate Alamigo together. I'm curious. I don't know that I'd expect it to be a dungeon. I'd almost more like expect it to be like a large-scale fate or event or something like that. But we'll see what they want to do. They're completely ambiguous about it. I'm just guessing at this point, so ignore me. That was just a guess, not confirmed in any way. So a French site. What is the added value to you and the game to have a subscription-based game? Another great question. I've answered this a lot in the past. That's a long answer. Please contact our PR team and they'll hook you up with the answer. He has answered it so many times before. The answer just hasn't changed. You chose to make Samurai DPS instead of a tank, as originally planned. It's a complex answer. It wasn't like we decided we want a DPS job. Let's make it Samurai. It was more of what I envisioned a Samurai character to be, which it falls in line with what he said at the North American Fan Festival at 2014. Not 2016, 2014, where he said while the team wanted to make it the tank for Heaven's Word, Yoshi P personally envisioned it as a DPS. Looks like he got his wish in the end. I see a more post-Edo Samurai, and that felt like it had to be a DPS style. The more light wearing, not the heavy armor wearing type samurais. Basically, the main concept our team has when making Samurai now is Kurosawa's 7 Samurai type Samurai. Power games in Sweden. What makes 14 stand out from other MMOs? The biggest thing is the speed at which we release major updates, expansions, and have fan festivals. Robert MMORPG. Can we see inconsequential... Is that Grockolin? Is that Groku? Is that Grockolin? It says Robert. I think it's Grockolin. Can we see inconsequential monster encounters have battle time reduced? We do believe in 3.x that some regular field battles were a bit longer than usual, so 4.0 they'll be shorter. So the thing is, they deliberately increased the power of field monsters in 3.x, so that's kind of disappointing. To be fair, they weren't actually harder. They just hit harder and had more health. They weren't, actually harder to defeat, if that makes sense. So, I mean, I would trade out health and I would trade out length of fight for maybe trash mobs that use more field enemies that use more interesting abilities, but I doubt we'll see something along those lines. Just won't take as long to kill field monsters. Question, we have a lot of people coming from all over the world to fan festivals like free companies, people met in the game. Do you plan to introduce an app that would let players stay in touch with their friends and groups, and what are your plans for the PlayStation VR? Currently in development of a new application to help players contact their free company players and friends outside the game. They mentioned this and they said originally it was going to be ready for 3.5, and it's basically an app that lets you talk in your link shells and free company through the app itself. Originally slated for 3.5, didn't make it obviously, so hopefully we'll see it. We want it ready for 4.0, but they're going to do their best to just get it out as soon as they can. Maybe 4.0, maybe a little bit later. As for the VR, they said they tested it, but you need a consistent 60 FPS to avoid motion sickness. They would really need to create something especially for VR. So if they do anything, they're still kind of in the talks. They haven't nailed anything down. We had some ideas of talking to the media about a special room like Makote's Paradise where you pay $50 and go in and have fun with Makote. He wants to make a porn shop for PlayStation V. Wait a minute. Whoa. You don't just brush past. That's the last question of the interview. Why is the last question of that interview a Makote's Paradise PSVR room where you go in and have some fun with Makote? You don't just put that at the end of an interview and then just walk out of the room, because that's clearly what he just did right here. Because we brought this up with the designers on our team. So far, no one has raised their hand saying they want to make it yet. Okay, I'm going to tell you right now, I might be upset if Blitzball cost me an expert dungeon, but if Makote PSVR porn costs me an expert dungeon, I won't make use of it. I'm probably not for that, But I'd love to hear the stories that people come back to me on my YouTube channel and my Twitch channel with that. You know what? I'm just gonna wrap up the video at this point. That was the end. That was the end of the interview. No, that was the end. Thank you, Gamerscape, for doing the live transcription of the press conference. As awkward as that got towards the end. So I'm gonna go take a shower now, because after reading that, I feel dirty. Alright guys, thank you for watching this video. Be sure to like, favorite, subscribe, and share. And stay tuned for all the latest Final Fantasy XIV news, information, guides, etc., etc. Anyway, thank you for watching, and until next time, take care.